Greetings and welcome to the United Hotspot yet again. My name is Webb. It's been a hot minute since we went live exactly 1 week ago. I decided to take a break. I mean, when you talk Man United, it can get too much. There is always a lot to talk about this club every day, any day, every minute. But we are back to action like we never left. Welcome again. How have you been, my people? My name is Webb, in case you forgot it. But what exactly has been going on with you? We are back to action. The English Premier League returns. It's the biggest stage of this competition, the home stretch where we get to fight for places. Man United hoping to finish among the top four. The international break brought us something exciting. We loved it, but we've got to put it behind and focus on the battle for top four because it's about to get intense. United will be in a late kickoff on Saturday. We'll talk about who is in and who is out. The players were back at Carrington today. Training was on. Bruno Fernandes smiling from ear to ear. All the other players looked excited. I think they missed it, honestly. They missed it just like you and I did. How have you been, fam? Welcome aboard. My name is Webb. How is it going? Now, let's get proper into Man United talk. Of course, we do take on Brentford in a game that has been I think for me it's a high pressure game, both for Man United but mostly for Brentford, because their coach Thomas Frank is probably on an ultimatum. He has not won a single game in 6. He knows he has got to beat Man United. They beat us at the same venue the last time we were there by 4 goals to nothing. That was last season. They were almost beating us at Old Trafford, only for Super Scott to come off the bench and save us. This is his game, you would say. But will he start in the event that Casemiro is back in the squad? We'll talk about that as well. Well, welcome, guys. MCT Macax, welcome back, sir. Welcome back, my brother. Single lady. I honestly don't think Man United can survive Brentford. This is Single Lady 256. Well, for those of you who love betting, she's a master at this whole betting thing. You can go there and check her out there, Single Lady. But listen, I don't think like Single Lady is saying, I don't agree with her. I don't think Manchester United is hot and burning. Rather, Brentford, I think Man United, judging by the last game before the international break, we are on fire. And we've got every reason to beat a team that has lost 5 and drawn 1 game of their last 6. They're lying 15th on the log, 5 points off relegation. Honestly, we should be in the right frame to go out there and beat them. But let's focus on us and what we have to do. Now, we do know that we've got some absentees in there. In Amad Diallo, who will be serving his domestic ban after getting that second yellow when he put off the jersey in that unforgettable classic. As we do dump Liverpool out of the FA Cup. Amad Diallo got that second yellow. You might wonder, why is he then missing an English Premier League game? So that's such a yellow card for what he did. You sit out any domestic game. So the FA Cup will return after this next month. He will be back for the Coventry semi-final. We do hope that Erik ten Hag then will give Amad Diallo his much-deserved chance. But for now, we can think without him. Now, let's focus on the players who are there. I saw images of training today at Carrington. Rasmus Højlund looking better and happy. You love it when he's happy, when he's fired up. I think I can already predict that probably I feel a goal in him at Brentford. We do know that Bruno Fernandes also returned early. He did not play the second Portugal game in the international break, so he's back and fresh. He looked so happy and excited to be back. We, of course, expect him to be as creative as he was. I was watching a video of an interview with Kevin De Bruyne, asked about, they were ranking, telling him to rank the 3 creative players, of course, besides him, the top creative players in the English Premier League. That is Bruno Fernandes, Martin Odegaard, and James Maddison. Those are the 3 players he was told to rank in his view, Kevin De Bruyne. And guess what? He ranked Bruno Fernandes up above Martin Odegaard. So if you've got these Arsenal supporters like Single Lady here, who think their captain is better than ours, Kevin De Bruyne, who is probably the most creative player in the Premier League, if not in Europe, has just settled that debate. He said the number 1 for him of the 3 is Bruno Fernandes. So no more debates about that. If Kevin De Bruyne says it, who are you to doubt him when it comes to creativity? The reality is Bruno, I think, has, and that's the thing with these good creative players. Bruno, Kevin De Bruyne himself, They try out things. They're not afraid to keep try out things and keep trying them out until it eventually works. That is the mark of a creative player. You're bold enough to keep taking risks, do things and keep doing them until they eventually make sense. So Bruno, for me, even if we've bashed him at times for coming out and hitting, uppers that balls that looked, without purpose, he keeps doing it until eventually it yields something. Either he's going to score a goal, or he's going to force a rebound, and someone will tap it in, or he's going to force a handball or something. He will always come up with something. And for me, that's all. Try to force a pass when you don't think someone can do that. And that's exactly what Kevin De Bruyne does. Probably Bruyne does it at a slightly higher level than Bruno, but that's the mark of a creative player. We are hoping to see this creativity more when we do return against Brentford. Now, Ernest Kavuta, hello brother, welcome. It's difficult. It's a difficult one, and hopefully we win. Goes to 1. Beautiful prediction. I'll give my prediction as well. I think 3-1, to be honest, is possible. I told you, terrible. They are languishing in relegation, and it's surprising that their manager is being linked to replace Erik ten Hag among the many managers that Ineos is reportedly interested in. It's funny, but how people seem to disrespect Erik ten Hag, even when he's doing good stuff. People are still comparing him to these failures of managers. But anyhow, I don't think that he's even going to be subject to debate in the future. But the reality is the beatable side. The only thing is the fact that they almost beat us. For, if you recall, if you have forgotten, if you're a person of short memory, I'll remind you that in the first leg, it was Scott McTominay who came off the bench. They were leading by a goal to nil. It will hit the 90th minute mark. Scott McTominay comes off the bench, scores 1 in the 3rd minute of added time. Then in the 7th minute of added time, scores the winner in what I think was one of the most memorable games I've watched this season. Not in terms of how he performed, but the result and how it changed everything, how the fire burnt within all of us. It was such a game to reckon, a game, typical Sir Alex Ferguson game, because he loves to send fans, home with the fire in their belly, flies in their bellies. So we got them really very nostalgic if you were there to watch Sir Alex Ferguson's times. Fabian Lee, Charles, hello Web, how are you, my brother? How are you, Charles? How is it going? Namutebi Rita, hello everyone, good evening. Been missing you guys. Been a minute, guys. We needed a break, guys. The team went for an international break. We also needed to have a break a bit, because when we get into this marathon where we are now, there will be no breaks, because this is, and I tell people, the hardest part of the Premier League is the final end. It's this stage. It is so hard for all teams. The teams competing for the title in Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal will feel it. The experience comes in now. You've got to be so smart, both the manager, the players, the fans. The experience comes in hand at this point in time. Then for relegation, it's even worse. The battle for relegation is even worse when you approach the final bend. It's 10 games to play. 10 games to go. This is it. This is the money stage of the English Premier League, because how you perform in these next 10 games is going to determine how much of the big cake you get, how big the slice will be for you at the end of the season, because the Premier League has got the biggest cake, of course, to distribute among clubs in global football. So it's a big critical stage that we need to hope, first of all, that all players are there. Now, Casemiro, we've not seen him in the images, but there was a 25% chance he would be back. Probably now it's about 70%. He's highly likely to be back. But I want to pick your mind on Scott McTominay. This is the guy who won us this game in the reverse fixture. But you think about now, in the event that Casemiro is back, would you be putting Scott McTominay on the bench and Casemiro starts? Because again, you think about it, and it's a confusion, because Scott McTominay, without Casemiro, he played extremely well against Liverpool. Scott McTominay has had a few minutes in the international break. So what do you do then as Erik ten Hag in the event that Casemiro is back? Do you take him back straight to sit as the number 6, or do you keep him on the bench, maintain the same approach we had that beat Liverpool convincingly? Because that was a convincing victory for given the nature of the opponent. Scoring and conceding, and you win against Liverpool is not a bad victory. That's what you expect from a team like them. So it's going to be interesting to see how Erik ten Hag. And tomorrow, after, of course, that pre-match press conference, I'll be here to try and talk about what exactly I think will be the preferred starting 11. It's a late kickoff. It will kick off at at 23 hours. So that's about that's 11 p.m. depending on where you are, and that's a late game, obviously, but it's worth it. I mean, it's worth it. Now, for me, the one thing that I expect to see in that game is Kobe Mainoo. I want to see how Kobe Mainoo this time is going to play. I dropped a video, I think, after Kobe had made his full debut for England. I was talking about how I felt. Uh, I felt Gareth Southgate gave Kobe Mainoo a little bit more freedom, whereas even Eric Ten Hag has many times played him or deployed him as a number 8. I feel like with Eric Ten Hag, because he demands players to contribute a lot defensively, I feel like we don't get enough creativity out of Kobe. Yet that was the one thing that stood out for Kobe Mainoo in that full debut for England, that was playing the role of a number 8, a modern number 8 who is going to be part of the creation, be creative, because a number 8 is supposed to contribute more going forward. The number 6 contributes more defensively. With Eric Ten Hag, I feel like the number 8 contributes 70% defensively and 30% going forward, which for me, I think limits a player like Kobe in terms of his creativity. Now, for me in this particular game, what I'm hoping to see against Brentford is a whole more creative Kobe, because I've said it here before that uh, I don't think, and we're going to talk about the top four, but yeah, it's intense. It gets intense now, Tevi. You're right. It's intense. The top four, but I'm saving best for last because that's our battle. It's our title. It's so intense. The top four battle is more intense probably than the title and relegation battle. Okay, the relegation battle is tighter, but the top four is extremely intense. And it's strange because Man United is not used to being here. This is Arsenal's place to be at. I think Arsenal has more experience in this situation we are in than we do. We have more experience in the title battle they are in than they have. They have more experience in the top four race, which has been their title for eons of years. But of course, Alex Jigba, hello web, your presentation is a top class. Man United for life. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for coming through, Alex. Here's the thing: the experience you need. I was listening uh, to Steven Gerrard. He had an interview with Rio Ferdinand, and he was asking him that season when they were almost winning the Premier League with Brendan Rodgers, only for him to sleep with the captain's armband and gift the title to, I think it's Chelsea, who eventually won it. And he said he doesn't think they lost the title because of that error. Yes, it had a contribution to make to it, but they lost it across the season because of the inexperience in the team, that they failed to handle the certain games they should have won and stuff. That takes you back to the experience and how much it is needed in this race. That's why players like Casemiro are so important at this stage. Players like Lisandro Martinez, players like Rafael Varane, players like Harry Maguire. The more experienced players in the team have got to be, they are so important now at this stage. Why? Because it then becomes a game of decisions, more of a game of decisions and strategy than a game of performances. The young players, the Garnachos, want to perform. They want to go out there and run and beat off people and score goals and do what and be excited. They are more risk taking. The mature players will know that now, if you get one goal in right now, you might want to play cautious. This is a game of strategy, but also the more experienced players will know that this is how you conserve energy if you're leading a moment, a pressure a period for us United supporters. But for most of the other neutrals, it's going to be, I think, fun and excitement, because this is the excitement of the Premier League, that race and how it goes. But I look at it and I'm thinking, it's really one we can cope with. I honestly think it's one we can cope with. If you look at the log and look at how we are standing. And let me try to get it for you here, just real quick. If you look at the top 6 in the Premier League and how it is now, you probably feel we've got a realistic chance if we do our part right. Look at that. This is the table. Arsenal are topping with 64 points. Liverpool 64. Same number of games played, 28. Man City 28 games played, 63 points. Now Aston Villa played a game more than us, so but they are fourth with 56 points. Then Tottenham are fifth with 53 points. Now I'm giving you this to refresh your mind in case the international break had got you rusty and forgotten where we are. Then Man United is 47. So we win this game, we go to 50. Of course, now we are 9 points off at the top 4. But like I said, we do have a game in hand. Of course, so does Spurs. If Spurs won their game in hand and we won ours, so they would have they would have 56. Then, so they would be at par with Man City. Then we would be on 50, so it would be 6 points shy with 10 games to play, or rather 9. I think honestly, it's nine games. Those if we win 9 games, 9 times 3 is 80, what? That's 18 plus 9 is 37. Yeah, help me do the math. So 9 times 3 is 37 or 36. So those are 37 points to play for. Maybe we don't win all of those games, but we know that Aston Villa and Spurs certainly are going to drop points. So it's a bit, of course, there's a bit of mathematics to it. That's where we are. There is always going to be mathematics at such a stage. But I think for me, if we win, if we get 24, not okay, 24 is too ambitious. If we won 6, 7, if we won 7 out of the remaining 9 games minus the one, of course, even the one tomorrow. But I want, including the game in hand, I want us to be all on the same games on 29. If we won our game in hand, then we'll be left with 9 games. Now, if we won 7 of the 9, which is ambitious but possible given where we are, I think it's hard to think that Aston Villa and Tottenham can win even 6 of their remaining 9. I think it's a bit difficult. So that's why I say for me it's quite possible. But also the experience. I think we've got more experience in our team than Tottenham and Aston Villa do. That's the other advantage that we have, which I think is good. But first things first, we need to start with the first opponent. Oh, 27, sorry, not 37. The 9 times 3 is 27. Thank you. I mean, imagine I did PCB. Imagine I'm a PCB math student, but I can't quickly calculate 9 times 3. I think I've got too much sport in my head. It erased my math. But thank you, Edward Musumba. So 9 times 3 is 27, not 37. So get 27 points. Of course, we may not win all the 9 games really. It will be too much to ask of this team. But if we won 7, possible 7, I think we can win 7 out of the 9, honestly. Okay, let's say 6. Those would be 18 points. Add to the 50, yeah, because I'm assuming we win our game in hand and we are all at 29. So add to the 50, 18 points. Those are 68. I honestly don't think Aston Villa and Tottenham will win more than 4 or 5 of their remaining 9 games. That's why I think if we do ours right, and it doesn't matter if, it may not really matter if we draw one and lose 2 of the others, because we should lose a game at some point. Honestly, if we're being realistic, we could lose a game. But that's why I think here, when the experience is right, if we come in hand, the experience has to come in handy now. If we strategically plan for these games, I think we can be. And the fact that most of our players are returning from injury, it will give us a bit of depth. That's why the battle remains realistic. If we focus on ourselves, I think we can do it. But first one game at a time. That's the approach that managers want to use. That's the right approach, I think, to use. We take it a game at a time. Let's start off with the Brentford game. So I just spoke about how Brentford are a hungry lion. And of course, you might not call them a lion, but the reality is they beat us 4-0 at the same venue in London the last season. So they're a lion by our standards. They're a lion. And they're a hungry one who are fighting to get a first win. But we've beaten such before, the way we did beat a worse lion in Everton. But the reality is the way Brighton, rather, why do I call them Brighton? Brentford. The way Brentford plays is a bit different, because Everton is easy to beat. I feel like Everton is one of the easiest teams to plan for and beat. That's why they have struggled to win games for a long time. Their style is, if it works, you're dead. If it doesn't, they are finished. That they are 4-4-2, 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1. I don't know. Sean Dyche has got to be more creative with his tactics, but that's not my word to think about or to fight. But Brentford play a technical game, a tactical game, a high-intensity possession game. Now, such a team, with how we were before, because we are not exactly there with our possession and that's how we want to play, they can beat us proper. they can properly beat us. They've got a certain intensity to their style, comfortable in it, direct, but quite technical with it. There, Thomas Frank, and that's why he's being linked with United. He has got certain tactics that, if you give him top players, probably can be some unplayable. So they have got that in their game. That's why they can beat us if we are not psyched right. That's why I shift now focus to our team, and this is where I'll go back to the debate of whether Scott McTominay should start or not. The reality is, if Casemiro is back in the team, we would need him be playing that number 6 to slow them down. But also, I say, for his experience. But Scott needs to be starting this game. And for me, the one player I would sacrifice would be Marcus Rashford. You saw how he was nearly off with England. Off, completely off. And in fact, there are questions about whether he will be uh, selected for the Euros. Those debates are happening. He's not been doing good at all. He has struggled. I think he has not been convincing at all. I think really Marcus Rashford, Marcus Rashford, I think for me is off the pace. To be honest, yeah, he's a bit off the. He has not been consistent. Of course, he can turn up for the club. He can too many. I think I would sacrifice Marcus Rashford and have Scott in there, have Casemiro in there, have Bruno in there, have Kobe Mainoo in there. For me, that's what I would do if I'm Eric Ten Hag. I would risk, of course, then you would think about the pace that Rashford gives on the left and stuff, but then to what end? His pace is not exactly reliable. It's not exactly reliable. Yet you've got a player, because usually as a manager, you want to give players chances against teams they injure. And I think it's a known thing. When a player has got a good record against a certain team, you always want to trust them against that team because it's a natural psyche. And you see players are moved by, are triggered by that psyche. It is what triggers them to perform. So the one player who should be first or second on the team sheet for Eric Ten Hag is Scott McTominay because of the 2 goals he scored against Brentford at Old Trafford. So, but then the question is, if Casemiro is there, are you going to keep Casemiro on the bench? Because Scott will not give you a lot defensively. He's not going to be there for his defensive contributions. But we spoke about how direct this and pacey this team can be. So it's going to be a brain game. But again, that's why I said I saved the probable lineup for after the pre-match press conference to see who is in. If Casemiro is back, he should be starting. For me, the person to sacrifice would be Marcus Rashford, come off the bench. He has not been playing in the international break, meaning he's not even fit enough. And he's not been really consistent. He will turn up against Man City and then die, or struggle. So it's a bit of a rock and a hard place for Eric Ten Hag, and you can imagine what thoughts are going on with him right now. Now, I also wanted you to look at this away record that we have. The away record of Man United. It's what you're looking at now. Okay. Okay. What's this now? Sorry. So I wanted you to look at this away record of Manchester United. There you go. And we've got a 7-1-6 record on the road. Let me just expand it for you here. And you look at it. Because all these things matter if you're traveling. Your record away matters. Because, again, it forms the basis of your strategy. If you've got a bad away record, you have no right to go out there and just try to kill off the game from the onset. So here's the away record of Manchester United. There you go. Never mind those Google ads and what. This is straight online. Maybe I can just get this off, but they'll keep coming back. But there you go. So we've got a 7-1-6 away record. And if you look at the teams we've beaten away, we've beaten Spurs, we've beaten, we lost to Spurs, we lost to Arsenal, we beat Burnley, we beat Sheffield, we beat Fulham, we beat Everton, we lost to Newcastle, we drew against Liverpool, we lost to West Ham, We lost to Nottingham Forest. This is our away record. I'm just trying to give you so that you analyze where Brentford should fall. Then we beat Luton, we beat Aston Villa, we beat Wolves, we lost to Man City. Do you realize that our away record is we beat the teams we are supposed to beat? You do realize that our record is clear. We beat the teams we are supposed to beat. Yeah? Which for me I think is extremely important. I think it's, why am I clicking things? I hope you saw what I'm saying. So that's the record. So I was saying, you realize that we beat the teams. We are beaten by the teams that have every right to beat us, considering how bad our season was. We are beaten by Man City. We are beaten by Arsenal. We are beaten by Newcastle. We are beaten by Spurs, who are above us on the pile. Ordinarily, Spurs shouldn't have a right to beat us, but in this situation where we are in, then even when we are bad, we are able to beat teams like Luton, the teams we should be beating. For me, I think that's important. It gives me the confidence that we can go out there to London and beat this Brentford team, because it falls in the category of teams we should be beating. So that again is important. So that again creates more belief in the team, and Eric Ten Hag should come with a game plan of coming away, but to win, not to protect to play for a draw. Because right now, what we need is wins. They are what are going to to get us close to the ultimate. Now, Ivan Toney. Let's talk about Ivan Toney for a bit, and I'll end this video with Kobe Mainoo. Obviously, I'll have to save the best for last, like I said. Now, Ivan Toney is the other player we need to be facing. Now, Ivan Toney made his full debut, just like Kobe. He made his full debut for England, and he scored a goal in that game. In fact, there are debates now about whether he should be the backup striker for Harry Kane in the Eurozone. Not actually, if it's for me, if it's up to me, I find him a threat, a big threat. He's a bit crafty, and he can be a bit of a piece of work. I rate him high. I rate him higher than Oli Watkins personally. But Shadrick Mambo, top 7 winner EPL trophy. I didn't get that. Top 7 winner EPL trophy. Shadrick Mambu. I didn't get that properly, but you perhaps you can explain. But for me, here's the thing. Ivan Toney, I think, is a big threat to whatever. Somehow lately, I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe has fastened the loose gaps so that things don't leak before they have to be known. I think they are waiting for us to listen to it from the coach tomorrow, Eric Ten Hag. But perhaps he was there. He was probably there. Maybe he was there in training, because he has been pushing to return against Brentford. So tomorrow we will confirm. But if Lisandro Martinez is there, probably is the one guy you think can comfortably deal with this Toney. Toney is a difficult striker to mark. That's why Arsenal has been patiently going and going for him. I hear that Man United are now linked with him. I think for me, it's difficult unless the player chooses to go to Man United, but also he's too expensive. Brentford knows their only chance to get a serious pound in the summer. So he will go to Arsenal, I think. 99% chance he will go to Arsenal. But he's a big threat of a striker, and he's a hungry guy considering the ban he served and all. So he's hungry. So and you see, such a player is psyched up because he wants now to show that I'm worth the speculations. I'm fit enough to play for a club like United, because he hears the speculations that are linking him to the club, and also having to prove and send a message if it's Arsenal where he's headed. So he's going to be a piece of work for Man United. My uh, thinking is it should be the player we look at, because if you handle Ivan Toney, I think you've handled 60% of Brentford. You've handled 60% of their threats, honestly. Yes, they're a good team. They can open you up and stuff, but I think if you deal with Toney, you've dealt with 60% of the threat they pose. So he's a player to watch, but if Licha is there, you're thinking that will be good. That will be uh, decent enough. And for me, I don't care. A 60-70% fit Licha is better than a fully fit Victor Lindelof, because Lindelof is then the other option to play with Varane. He's the backup option. For me, I would take a 60 or 70% fit Lisandro Martinez to deal with Ivan Toney with Varane. other than a fully fit Victor Lindelof. Honestly, no disrespect to Lindelof. In fact, I love him as a backup. I'm one of those who feel he should probably stay as one of the backup players. But I honestly think if Licha is 60 or 50 or 70% fit, he's a better option to deal with Ivan Toney, because we can't afford to lose a game now. Imagine the excitement we had against Liverpool and then we come and lose to Brentford. It doesn't matter whether we're on the road. I honestly think it will again send us back to where we don't want to be. It will again send confusion. The beauty is there is calmness now. I feel like the biggest majority of United supporters are backing Erik ten Hag. We are backing the team. All players look like they have stepped up. So we just need to be, perhaps even be worse. We sent a message by beating Liverpool. Now just send it home. Let it arrive by obliterating Brentford away, because we haven't had a very convincing away win, except I think the recent one against Everton. So that for me is my honest opinion. Now, just to end it, Kobbie Mainoo. So this boy, after that impressive performance against England, I expect he's going to be balling, I think, in ways we can't explain. And of course, as he will be going around his business for Ineos, there feel that, like, we can actually do without a new partner for him because of how he turns up, and just performs. But I think right now the most confident player in football globally should be Kobbie Mainoo, because of that full debut for England. People don't understand how much that debut is going to help us as Man United see the best of this player. And that's why I'm praying that he's playing a more creative role. He adds to the creativity that Bruno gives. Erik ten Hag loves to see him running and sprinting back to track back, which is okay, but let the biggest percentage, 90% of his contributions should be for me in the attack. He will keep this Brentford team there for as long as Kobbie Mainoo is in the final third. He will keep Brentford there. They will not have time to come at us, because they will know that this is a player who will pull one thing and either score or play a killer pass. That's the easiest way to take the pressure away from our backline. If Casemiro is there, let him sit on the bench. Unless Casemiro is not there, then you certainly know that then you would need Kobbie Mainoo to come back there. But if Casemiro is, and if that's the case, then perhaps conversations of Christian Eriksen could come in, because again, you need a bit of that creativity. I mean, the issue we are having is, and whereas we've created Bruno for his chances that he's created and all, and he was praised by Kevin De Bruyne. I think I started this video by praising him and how De Bruyne rated him. I think at times we lack a bit of it, and it has to take rarely a Christian Eriksen off the bench to open us up. So we need the Kobbie creativity more. We need to see it more at this point in time. This boy will serve us more because we need goals. And you do recall that at this point, when it gets to the wire, goals are important. The goals will save you. So if you need goals, I'm thinking your best player who can beat off 5-6 players has got to be playing to the opposition box, closer to the opposition box than to your box. Probably that's my plea. Kobbie Mainoo should be playing closer to the opposition box than he does close to our box, because at the opposition box, there is a high chance that he's going to beat off 4, 5, even 6 people and either score a goal or force a deflection and a tap in for Rasmus Højlund, or play a beautiful assist to Højlund or Garnacho, or he's going to win a free kick in a nice position or a penalty. That is what you do at this point in, and for me, those are the tactics I'm hoping Erik ten Hag deploys. But the more we want to make that 18-year-old boy come and try to assist in the attack, but worry about coming back and sprinting to support defensively, we are limiting our chances of goals. And to be honest, when you score more goals, the best way to defend is to attack. Isn't that what they say in the modern game? The best way to defend it is to attack. Erik ten Hag needs to know that. So you have your best player, your most creative player, your most comfortable player on the ball, your one player who can beat off 3 people, 4 people single-handedly, play a part in your attack more than it does defensively. For me, that's my only plea. If that happens, United, we shall win this game comfortably. And if we do so, we are sending another message. We will be sending another message. Very important. because we need to send a message now. This is part of the games you play now at this point in time in the season. You need to be obliterating teams so that you send a message to your next opponent that, you know what, be wary of us. Before, teams have been coming even at Old Trafford and oozing confidence. They have been coming at Old Trafford and playing, like they're playing at home. We have been allowing them that confidence. We had lost the fear factor. Kobe is our biggest fear factor, but our biggest fear factor cannot be lost in trying to sprint back and defend when you've got a Casemiro there. You put Bruno. In fact, if I'm Eric Ten Hag, you know what I would do? Kobe played as number 10 and as a striker before. If I'm Eric Ten Hag, I would play Bruno Fernandes as the number 8 next to in moments, but I would deploy him mostly as a number 10 to create chances, because I'll be sure 90% chances Kobe Mainoo is going to either assist or score or get a free kick or win something with his style and his confidence on the ball. For me, that's my plea to Eric Ten Hag. You can give me your opinion about that as I get into winding this up. So there's a young player I want to talk about as I end that we have been linked with as a striker. Remember, the striking department is one of those that we are looking to fix. Now, there is a young Spanish footballer who plays for RB Leipzig called Daniel Olmo Carvajal, who we are being linked with. He's priced at about £50 million, and he has got some goals in him, and he has scored about 16 goals in so many games for RB Leipzig since 2010, more than 100 games. Not so many, but he's one of those emerging players. He's 25, not so young, a bit of maturity in him, but he's been linked with Manchester United. He plays for Spain as well. He was part of their team that played against Brazil. So he's one of the young strikers that we're being linked with. Remember now that, like I said, Ineos are on the hunt for players to replace some of these rusty players. So Anthony Martial, a replacement is needed, and we are looking at this Daniel Olmo Carvajal as one of the options. We'll talk about probably him more and his game and whether he can be the one. We need to take time, and actually, I think in the future I'll do a live about the striking department and the profile of the striker we need to go for to be a support striker for Rasmus Højlund. And I'm calling it support intentionally because my thinking is, with the injuries we've had, you want to have a striker who can be a proper part of the rotation. That if Højlund is going to be starting and he should be playing 60 minutes, you need to have another striker who can ably start certain games, but also be able to come for the next 30 minutes and pose almost equal threat as Højlund. So we need to read that profile of that striker, because there should be competition, serious competition in all departments. Leave alone a situation where you have a Rasmus Højlund playing at this level and his backup is playing at Anthony Martial level. So clearly, when Højlund is not there, the difference is night and day. We don't want that. You recall with Sir Alex Ferguson, we had Chicharito who would come off the bench, but he would feel like he's a proper starter. That if Rooney is not there, Chicharito would properly come in and score goals. The likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the likes of Teddy Sheringham, all these players who are not starters were good enough to start actually. So those are the profiles of strikers you need to spread the depth. And yes, they are there. The way we discovered Rasmus Højlund, I'm sure there are strikers we can discover who can come on a chip but be able to give us goals that I believe are easier. I honestly think, and I've been debating this with my mates around when we talk about football every day with my mates. I was debating with people saying that I think it's easier to score goals in the modern game than it was back then with the Van Nistelrooys and all these players. And it's not even about how good the players were then. Back then, all departments had better players than now. And that's what made it more difficult. The goalkeepers were better, the defenders were better, the strikers were better, midfielders were better. So it was more difficult to score goals. Imagine these strikers of today. Would they score goals against the Vidic of this world, the Rio Ferdinands, the John Terrys, the Maldinis, the Nestas, the likes of Cannavaro? You think about the players, the quality of players back then, that you had to be so good a striker, your levels had to be so high for you to be able to score goals consistently. That's why even the best strikers would struggle, especially in the Premier League. You think about strikers like Crespo, Shevchenko, these guys who are good, some of the best we've seen in the game, but they struggled because of the levels of the defenders and the goalkeepers. Now today, my thinking is football is more in the boardroom. You plan and craft ways of getting that ball to the striker. It's planned. It's easier to score goals now. It score goals back then, because back then to be able to score goals, you needed not just to be a goal scorer, just not just about the instinct. You needed to have skill. That's why R9 was scoring goals. Wayne Rooney was scoring goals. You need to have skills to be able to smartly and skillfully beat off Cannavaro, beat off Maldini, beat off Nesta, beat off Yapstam, beat off all these Sol Campbell, all these great defenders. Today, goals should be easier to score, but somehow these strikers don't. These strikers don't. And maybe again, that's another debate you can have with your mates. Is it easier to score a goal now than it was back then? I honestly think it should be easier now. I think I can score goals in the in this era of football more easily than I would back then. Back then, you needed to have confidence. Confidence that only came with skill. Right now, the confidence comes with the tactics of the manager, how they are going to get the ball to you. Remember how we used to say we are not getting the ball to Hoyland, we are not getting the ball to him. It all went back down to the tactics we are deploying to get the ball to the striker. I think for me, there is no excuse not to score goals lately. It should be easy. And if you fail, you blame it on the manager, because it's not about the skill of the players anymore. Anyhow, that's it from me, guys. I think I'll give my prediction of the. I think we are going to win the game, obviously, but I'll give my clear prediction after the probable lineup tomorrow. Tomorrow's show, we'll be going into the probable lineups based on, of course, as we react to the Eric Ten Hag press conference. We shall based on the players who will be available to come up with the probable starting 11, and then reflect on how we would perform with that starting 11. But the reality is, this should be a game we should be winning. We've got everything in text. If we don't, it is going to be bad. And even just struggling, if we struggle, because we played well, we did not fumble into the victory against Liverpool. We outplayed Liverpool at their own game. That's the one game I felt we played football. We played like Man United. So against Brentford, why shouldn't we beat them? Thomas Frank will be made to pack his bags, because things are not good for him. In fact, it could be a win or bust situation for him. Loses this game again, another game, the conversation might be different. Otherwise, they will be flirting with relegation, seriously flirting with relegation. Thank you, guys. My name is Webb. I'll catch you again tomorrow. Thank you. And we are back officially with our 10 o'clock show. So be there again tomorrow, but also be ready for the watch along on Saturday. It will be an interesting one to get into. My name is Webb. Subscribe. Big G bless. And happy Good Friday, by the way. Happy Good Friday if you're Christian. And happy Ramadan for the Muslims as it does continue. Cheers.